Welcome, everybody, to the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. This is Isaiah Vreeman with Brad Lowers, and we have a special guest that's going to be joining us. Also, who is going to be joining us here pretty soon as the kids have been wrangled into bed, Keaton Homer. But I do have a theory on why we've gotten that excuse, and I think it has to do with what happened on Saturday and what I happen to be currently wearing. It's not Dallas Cowboy as we know that that is his favorite team. It is the Seattle Seahawks, who are the number one seed and now in the NFC Championship after dog walking the 49ers, or the 40 whiners, as I like to affectionately call. I know that there will be a Hall of Fame member that is sad about that, and we won't mention who that is. And I feel bad for him to a certain extent, but I did not text this person. I did not rub it in. I kept it very professional because unlike the 49ers, we're going to let our pads do the talking. And that's my diatribe about that game. Welcome into the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. I know Brad is just shaking his head because, well, we can't talk about like that with Green Bay, but we can with the Seahawks.
Isaiah,
yes.
You said you'd have to be professional. Well, you are nothing if not professional.
I know. I
can't tell which team you're for.
No. I've kept it very professional, very even keeled.
You're a mystery.
I am definitely a mystery. I'm a mystery wrapped in an enigma. That's kind of hard to say real fast,
but true.
So, welcome to the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. We will talk about Alaska sports, but I just had to get that out there. I've been waiting all weekend to get on this podcast just so I can talk a little bit of Seahawks and how proud of my team I am, because it's been a long time since I've been able to say that. So very pleased. But we did actually have quite a bit happen during the last week, basically, since our last podcast, and tournaments and all sorts of stuff. So I think the O'Brady's tournament was the last one that we had that was coming up. And I know, Brad, you were around for that one.
Yeah. And just before we mention that, Isaiah, every Wednesday, I think everybody knows there's a sports business meeting.
That's true.
And last week, you brought in your team. They were very impressive. And a lot of times we wonder how you do it. And we saw your team, we figured it.
Yeah.
And Don Winchester kind of presides. He's the repeating president in his 30th year. And he always has a lot of good questions and likes getting visitors. Of course, when we have guests, we always treat them with the utmost kindness, especially if they can get us tickets.
Very true.
We do. We do.
We did treat everybody with kindness, with the exception of Isaiah.
No.
Well, we tickets and swag, whatever. We'll take about anything. Okay.
Tickets, swag.
Yeah.
And people wonder how I do it. It's the Wolverine staff, and now you guys know my secret's out. So that's unfortunate, but we all were hungry, so we had to get pizza.
Hopefully they had fun and they learned a lot. And we think of ourselves as therapists. Okay.
Very much so. Very therapeutic. Very therapeutic. So that leads into, that was on Wednesday, and that was a blast. The Wolverine staff still talks about that. What happened on Thursday, O'Brady's tournament, and then things got a little wonky on Friday, as it did for everybody else in the city. I don't know about the rest of the state, but I know in Anchorage it got a little wonky. And then on Saturday,
it was a little crazy, and I'm glad we have Don on because he's got so much experience with tournaments, and I've seen him in action at baseball, for example, and it can be raining buckets. You think you're somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, and Don, when he's running the tournament, he says, there will be a game played. We will play the game. Don wasn't in charge of this tournament, but I think South and Willie over there, the activities principal, and all the folks involved did a great job in finding a way to complete the tournament after having to wipe the Friday slate clean.
Yeah, that's rough. That is a rough way to go. But I heard they got 2 games in on Saturday, and that helped. I know we had a Wolverines game on Friday and Saturday. Luckily, we didn't have to worry about canceling Friday's game. And I was worried that I might get a text from somebody saying, "Hey, is the Wolverines game canceled too?" Because I would have been able to say, "Not a chance." But who who ended up winning the O'Brady's tournament, Brad?
Well, I know this has been a tough tournament for South over the years, but they look great in winning the game. Um, they beat Barrow, who we've seen. Barrow won the Mountain City tournament. They came in second, and really in overtime against a good West Valley team. But I think I mentioned to you guys before we went on the air, it's just really hard to play in 3 tournaments, regardless of the caliber of opponents. You're playing, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I know Barrow went home between the first 2 tournaments, but it's just kind of wears on you. You can tell, they got stung in the semifinals. Good win for South, and then real tough game with Nome. I was impressed with Nome. They defeated Lathrop, who's a pretty talented team, and I think with Nome we saw where they kind of got off to a slow start, but they're the type of team, they're going to be, right there at the end. And I heard early people told me that Barrow was a class of 3A and no one would touch them. Well, I think Nome and Barrow, Nome shows there's going to be at least 2 teams involved in that race.
Nice. And then I know we wanted to touch on something before we get into the Alaska Airlines Classic, where Don, our special guest, will be able to tell us a little bit more about what's going on starting tomorrow with that. But something that we had heard, what was it, 2 weeks ago, but we didn't want to say anything because it wasn't anything public yet, and where that all was. But Brad, it's something up at UAF that we found out about, that the general public found out about this weekend with some games over up at UAF.
Yeah, and I think we were basically doing our podcast and had found out the tragic news, and we wanted to be respectful of. We didn't want to be the first group to really bring it forward, and it wasn't commonly known for several days. But Coach Ostanik wasn't able to go on the last road trip because his son lost his life on Monday. And Win, what a great name, W-I-N, and about 30 years old, and in minus 40 in Fairbanks. Not an easy place to be. And the only child of Mr. and Mrs. Ostanik. And I heard a quote attributed to Frank, that the only thing tougher than losing your child is watching his mother lose a child. So he didn't go on the road trip. And then I thought it was so appropriate that he came back when his team returned and got immediately back into practice. And some people might not understand that, but I think in a situation like that, work is therapy. And so they went to work, and they kind of had a longer week than they might normally had. A great rivalry game on Saturday against a UAA team that was playing very well. And UAF came out with a victory, and you have to feel good. There was a certain, Patty Jim was going crazy, and I think everybody up there, just felt great in the outcome. Coach Ostanik carried around a sign after the game that said, "Win one for win." And so it's kind of nice to see these 2 bitter rivals at times. And I know Coach Osborne and I talked prior to the game, and just like everybody else, he was so heartbroken with, what had transpired. And I think all of us send out our thoughts and prayers. And, that's often said in this situation, but I hope in this case we can all kind of follow up on that.
Hey man, that's sad news. It's devastating. There is no real words for anything like that other than prayers, and thoughts and prayers are with Coach Ostanik and the entirety of his family and the UAF family. There's no easy way to transition that, but you know, we've got a special guest here, Don Winchester. He is known as the godfather around a lot of sports here in Alaska, especially tournaments. I know when I was fresh as an athletic director, brand new in that role, we had a tournament at Heritage Christian. I met with him going, what am I doing? How do I make this the best tournament I can make it? And Donnie was nice enough to sit down with me and tell me a few pointers and a couple things to look out for and pursue. And because of that, the Heritage Christian tournament was pretty successful. And Donnie is in charge of, or is in one of the people in charge of the Alaska Airlines Classic that starts actually tomorrow, Tuesday, as we're taping this Monday night, with the girls, and they play Wednesday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then the guys' tournament starts on Thursday, and that runs Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So, Don, welcome. Thanks for your inaugural visit to the Alaska Sports Talk podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. It's been on my bucket list to be on this podcast with you guys. Okay, so thank you so much.
How do you think we feel? You were on our bucket list.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So our buckets are getting full.
Yeah, you turned us down so many times. It's good to see you now.
Yeah. It's like, is your bucket full of holes? I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So the Alaska Airlines,
it's a pleasure. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, the Alaska Airlines Classic 2026. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, as you said, it starts tomorrow and with the girls' tournament. And I just happen to have a schedule here. So first game tomorrow is Colony versus Sitka at 6, and Monroe and West Anchorage plays at 7:30 tomorrow. In that tournament, it's a 14 tournament, so it's a round robin. And so the next night, the same game times are the same, 6 and 7:30. And you can go on Alaska Airlines Classic .com and see what teams are playing, who's playing what and where. So we're happy to have Colony. I think Colony in the early polls, they were like picked 1 or 2, I think, in the state at the point. So I know they lost to Wasilla, I believe, here the other night. But it's a long season, but we're happy to have them. Got Sitka coming up. Monroe's is a good team, and of course West Anchorage should be good. So it'll be a great tournament. That'll be streamed on Isaiah. What's that place that you stream that?
The NFHS network. Yeah, that's it. All the games will be streamed on the NFHS network.
Yep.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
I'm here. You told me to make sure that I work that in 2 or 3 times during the discussion.
That's right.
I've got one down. I'll get the other 2. Okay.
Yeah, you got 2 more. You got 2 more. Yeah. Got 2 more done.
Have you got subscribe?
Yeah. Like and subscribe. 2 more plugs. No, I think the girls tournament, I think you nailed it. Those are 4 very solid girls teams for this season. I know Morgan Ainsworth for Colony. She's one that's already signed at Air Force,
yes.
Division I. So she's big. She's big. And then Leela Church from Monroe. She's a junior. She's a junior this year. She's royalty in Fairbanks, obviously.
The last name Church says it all. That's like a Hadukovich.
Yep.
Type
Let
thing.
me throw out another name, Donnie.
What's that?
Let me throw out another name.
Go ahead.
There's a crone.
Oh, there's a crone playing. Yeah. Not on Colony.
I don't know if her dad's or her granddad's like 100 years old, maybe 95. But you'll see him at games.
Yeah. Well,
He's
I happen
definitely
to
a
know how
gangster.
old he is, Brad, because we're the same age. Okay, so
Okay. Then,
Oh, shots fired.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, so that'd be a great game. And then the boys tournament, we've got three teams coming up from the states, a team from New York, team from Florida, and a team from Arkansas. Um, Probably if I had to put them one, two, three from our viewpoint, which this is absolutely shooting from the hip. Um, I would say that the New York team would be the third out of those teams. The Florida team would be two, and Central Arkansas would be the top team out of that. They're uh, probably one of the more consistent programs in Arkansas basketball, and is always around. So they're always pretty darn good. So, and then in the Alaska teams, the five teams. I know. I think the original poll come out. We had like the four of the five top teams in there. West Valley is very good.
Yeah,
Brad and I watched them play
yeah,
a
they're
couple
good.
games, and actually watched them play Barrow. Very impressed with Barrow.
Hmm.
West Valley is a good team, and that coach does a great job, and they will be around at the end. Uh, they just are a good, smart team. Um, then I think, and then the Colony boys will be good. They're very good. Uh, they so in our ranking, and that is we kind of thought West Valley was the top team in the state. Colony would be the third in our team. West Anchorage would be number two, and then East for the first time ever is at four, and then we have Sitka. So we've got some great matchups. So the first round matchup, first game on Thursday is 1:30. It's an early game because it's a student body game.
Yep.
So we have the whole student body. It's very exciting. If you want to hear a lot of noise and enthusiasm and that, and watch, be around about 1,000 kids that are not looking at their cell phones,
Yep,
this is
that's
the
true.
place to be. Okay. Um, so West plays Sitka in that game, and then the next game at 4 o'clock is West Valley playing the Florida team, Forest, Florida, which will be again, that'll be a great game. 5:30 is the Colony Little Rock, Arkansas game. And then at 7 is East playing the name. It could be confusing. It's Maine, spelled just like the state, Maine-Endwell, New York. So sometimes you hear Maine, but it's a New York team. And so you can go on Alaska Airlines Classic thing, and then where's that being broadcast on, Isaiah?
The NFHS network. You know, that's that. You got it. You got.
Yes. Am I doing good, Isaiah?
You're doing wonderful.
I'm doing what
Doing
you asked me to do. Okay.
doing great, Donnie.
Isaiah,
I'll slip you the money afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. But we're proud of this tournament. We have a great tradition. We try to bring in good outside teams. Um, these are high caliber teams. Last year we brought in a real high caliber team, the Alabama team
Yeah.
from Hoover. They won their second straight 6A basketball championship. They went undefeated, and the coach had called, and we had the California team up here. They were in the top 10 in California, and he was just thankful. He called me at the end of the season and just was thankful that he was glad he came up, because they played that California team, and that was the toughest game they had all season. But we do have a rich history of having really good teams, really good games. It's a great atmosphere at West Anchorage High School. Brad, don't tell any of my Diamond people I said that, okay, please? Did you
Well,
record? You are recording this,
I
aren't
am
you?
recording this.
Oh man, that could
so
happen. No.
I'm obviously a fan of the Alaska Prep shootout. You and I involved in getting that one started. But as far as the Classic over the years, if you include both of them, I've been involved as a visiting coach with two teams, as a host coach in the first year. And one thing I noticed, especially about New York teams, and Donnie, you'll remember St. Raymond's, they were especially close to you, but it just seems like the New York teams and East Coast teams, but New York in particular, like they'll beat a really good team by 8 or 10, and then they'll play a team that's better, and they'll beat that team by 8 or 10, and then they'll play the really, really good team, and they'll beat that team by 8 or 10, because they play as well as they need to, and they're able to elevate their game. Simon Gratz, we played Simon Gratz one year from Diamond. They're from Philadelphia, kind of a famous basketball school, and we were just a Scotty Larrabee 60-footer away from going to overtime. So
they were ranked in the top 10 in the country. The thing I like, Brad, and thank you, is that it's great to see good teams and have our kids, our student athletes playing against those teams. First of all, New York, it's in their culture. Okay, it's in basketball is in their culture, and they're just amazing. And that St. Raymond's was right for from the Bronx, and all that whole league, because I actually was sitting down with the coach, Gary Caesar, and they were getting ready to play. They were going to be playing East, and I asked him. I said, "So, what do you do to prepare for a player like Trajan Langdon?" And he's from New York. You got to remember, okay? So his answer was, "Every game we play in our league has 2 or 3 Trajan Langdons on their team." Okay, so okay, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to say we had a really good player. Okay.
How dare you?
But yeah, it's absolutely in their culture. But it is good to watch some of these teams that come up. They just play unbelievable basketball, and I hope that our kids enjoy it. They see stuff and see what they're really up against. If they're planning on going to a higher level of basketball, that's what they're up against.
Donnie, one game that I remember rather well, and it was actually the Simon Gratz game. And I don't know if they came in late. They were kind of tired, but the way they played the game, their coach was getting kind of upset with them. And, we got to the fourth quarter, and we were at Diamond, we're sitting back in our zone, and he just had them hold the ball.
Yeah.
And it was about a 4 or 5 point game, and I'm thinking, well, I like our chances in a 2 or 3 minute game rather than a 7 or 8 minute game. But thankfully, Donnie, we've got the shot clock now, so that keeps the game exciting. And I know you were even one of those who spoke out in favor of the shot clock.
Well, I was after the game you played in Simon Gratz. I thought, I went out immediately and bought a shot clock. Okay, so I think the shot clock is good. Okay, I do. So I think it's it's a 35-second, and certainly enough time, but it does make close games are a lot better because they've got to take the ball to the basket. You don't have to foul to get the ball back.
Doesn't turn
and I
into
know you don't care for. I see Brad's not saying anything, Isaiah, because he's not for the shot.
No, I'm coming on board. And one thing that's making me come on board is through the years, and Isaiah was a part of this, we were really good at the end of quarters and the end of the half. I mean, we were really good. But now, really, with the shot clock, that's happening over and over again, where, you can run your offense, but now you have to have a quick hitter or, something prepared. and it's a little more strategic. And just when we had Colton Growden on last week, you could tell he had really thought it through and, had some ideas I hadn't even thought of. So I think teams are learning more about it all the time, and it does add a lot to the game. And Donnie, when it's over, I'm going to pretend it was my idea.
And that's fine. That's fine. And to be clear to your listeners, it's shot clock right now in Alaska is just for 4A.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
3A doesn't have it, or nor 1 and 2A. So the Barrel Nome Clash won't probably, if that's how it ends up, will not have a shot clock in it. So
it wouldn't surprise me if in a couple of years you see it at the 3A level. Wouldn't shock me, but it's definitely not something we'll ever see at the, I shouldn't say never. It's definitely not needed at the 1A and 2A level. They wouldn't survive a 15-second shot clock.
I get it where people, and it's more than a few that think a 10-second clock would be plenty. But in traveling to several villages last year, Akiak and Akiachuk, and I'm thinking, how are these teams going to get the shot clock? Well, they had a scoreboard that had the shot clock tucked in the corner. So they're already prepared. And I think what we have in town where you can see it a little better, but, even for them already to have that scoreboard ready to go. And I guess the other thing, Donnie, is I was hesitant because I wasn't sure that, you add an official, you add another element that you have to keep the good, you have to reset. But, like you said, you and I were at that one game, and, it's a fairly clean game. And I don't think there were more than 1 or 2 resets. And, even at the NBA, they have that. So pretty good operation so far.
I think so. And you're right, Brad. It's about the money, because for the schools and that, you're adding really another official to pay. And that too. So you have that, you have the cost of the shot clocks. And so, it basically is kind of a somewhat of an experiment. I think some of us, like the Classic, we kind of messed around with it. I actually, when my daughter played, we brought up teams from the States, and also at service. So that would have been in 92, 3, 4. And we actually used the shot clock back then. And the kids, they loved it. The kids loved it. And even the coaches thought it was fun. So I think there was people that thought I was single-handedly trying to ruin girls basketball in Alaska or something. I can't remember exactly the wording, but it was something like that.
It's probably something like that.
The state of Washington was one of the pioneer states to use that in girls basketball, and then it really spread mostly in girls high school. And
yes,
I guess I would think, not the too distant future, that it'll be as common as the 3-point line.
Wow, you're really putting your neck out there, aren't you, huh?
Yeah, don't chop it off.
Yeah, I think so, Brad. I think it'll be adopted in 3A. Eventually, I think eventually it actually will be in 1 and 2A. Okay, so it is a little harder. You're pushing the kids. Those 1A teams, some of them only have sometimes 5 players. Okay, so it's okay right now. They're more going to be more comfortable holding the ball out and kind of slowing things, resting or slowing things down a little bit, and not have to attack. So that's what I see is more, not so much in the 2A, but the 1A. Isaiah, you've seen a lot of 1A too. What do you think?
Would some coaches like it? Yes, but I go back to the school districts and the infrastructure for it.
Yeah.
The amount of schools that would take for that. And to mention, the money might not be as impactful in some districts as in others, but it's the personnel. Yeah. They're having a hard time getting just basic officials out in some of these places where they're flying in people from Anchorage and other places just to get these games to operate with a 2-man crew, let alone a 3-man crew. Now you add in a shot clock. Again, I won't say that it's impossible for the 1A and 2A to do it, but I would say it's really unlikely anywhere in the near
Yeah, it's
decade
probably
future.
not. Yeah,
3A, I definitely see that coming in the 3A level, but
yeah.
sooner
Isaiah,
than later.
in your name, Isaiah, we're going to take that S and we're going to put two lines through it because you're a money man. You think about the consequence of money, which is good. Somebody has to do that.
At
Well,
least one person, right?
At least one.
at least one. Yeah.
You'll be in the middle, and I'll be the dreamer.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it's
don't.
it's the money, but it's also the infrastructure. When I look at some of those 1A schools, I mean, you're talking if it's 2A schools, okay, let's say that's 19 to 22 schools on average. When you're talking 1A schools, now 1A schools, you're talking 120
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
120 of these 1A schools, which sometimes have 5 kids in them,
Yep.
sometimes have 2, and sometimes have 25. Are they going to get shot clocks? Again, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I would say it's not any time in the near future likely. But that's different.
I agree. I agree, Isaiah. I think it'd be hard for the 1A, but irregardless, it's all, coming. Sports are,
Well, it's
it's
about growth,
evolving.
and
Yeah.
and again,
Yeah.
if some of them already have that infrastructure in some of the schools with scoreboards, then maybe that does happen, and maybe it's easier to find somebody who's willing to do a shot clock at the table with everybody else.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then I would hope that some of these individuals want to be an official. But,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that happening. But
Yeah, when you recruit officials in a smaller town, they're cousins and fathers.
that's
You
the
know,
problem.
that's where when you travel to some of those places, you know what a true road game is.
Yeah, that's right.
100%. I was talking to a coach at the Alaska Prep Shootout saying that they were going to Barrow in the near future, this year or next year with tournaments. I can't remember which one, but I said, well, you better play 50 points better so you can win by 2.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I don't know. The technology may change things in the next 10 years too.
Oh, that's
So,
true. That's a good point. That's a very
and
good
that's,
point.
I
Yep.
guess that's what I would kind of count on at some point. And if the two teams say they want to play with it and they both agree, hey, they play with it or don't, so
That's fair
in
point.
the 1A. Yeah. So
It's a fair point. I didn't think about that, but you're right. Technology could change where it's maybe not nearly as cost ineffective or challenging to implement. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
see, I live on the cutting edge, Isaiah.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm on the
that's
cutting edge all the time and I count on technology. Okay. I used
I
AI the other day for one of the first times. I was late. I was going into a meeting and I needed to have some stuff. I wrote down about 8 or 9 words, pushed AI, and they wrote me up a whole thing to talk about. So
look at you, Donnie, cutting
yeah,
edge AI
yeah,
person there.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I
can you
couldn't
still
say
be,
some of the words though. So
I like the fact that you can still be on the cutting edge after 70 because I'm going to see that before too long.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think of myself as that, but I think it's always nice to be around these tournaments, around all these games or all these kids and watch them play, and it is enjoyable. So I love it.
Well, we've
Absolutely
got
love it.
oh, sorry, Don.
Well, are we done? Are you wrapping up?
Well, I was going to wrap up the Alaska Airlines Classic segment part of this podcast. Just going to say a few words to finish it with some locations to find some stuff. Any last words for you on the Alaska Airlines
No, just
Classic?
you want to have a good time out and watch some games. There'll be for the girls' tournament first 2 days, 2 games, but when the boys start that first day, there's 6 games. There's 2 girls' games and 4 boys, and then Friday and Saturday is 4 games. So it's great basketball at any of those games are going to be they will be good. So
They will be
well,
good. And if you want to take a look at the bracket, or if you want to, I shouldn't say or, and download the program, Van Williams, who does a lot of the media things for the Alaska Airlines Classic, puts together a great program with players to watch and the history of the tournament and everything with the rosters. It's just a great program, and you can download that stuff there at Alaska Airlines Classic.com. And again, all these games will be broadcast, boys and girls tournament on the NFHS network. And just to kind of run down that schedule again, Thursday, West versus Sitka at 1:30. Then that same side of the bracket, the top of the bracket, East versus Maine, Endwell, New York is at 7. Then at the bottom of the bracket, West Valley versus Forest, Florida at 4 o'clock, followed by Colony versus Little Rock Central from Arkansas at 5:30. And that again is on Thursday for the boys tournament. So again, Alaska Airlines Classic.com. You can take a look at the brackets as well as the program, download that. And if you can't make it to any of the games, be sure to check those out on the NFHSnetwork.com.
Yep. Thanks, Isaiah and Brad, for having me, and enjoyed it. I'll see you out at the games, and enjoy. And thank you.
Thank you, Donnie, for showing up and telling us a little bit about the tournament. Appreciate that. And talk shot clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is always a big topic. That's especially this basketball season.
Well, we like to hone in on certain things. Okay. So, yeah, no, it's good. So thank you.
Hey, Isaiah.
Yeah.
I kind of worry when you use the phrase last words when you ask for another comment from.
Should say last word.
Yeah. I'll give my last word, and it's one that's already been mentioned, and that's if you can't go to games, just like you said, you want to tune in and you'll catch all the action of the Alaska Airlines Classic on the NFHS network.
Yeah, I think that tournament's always especially with the girls tournament added. It's just a great week of basketball coming off of the holiday today. You know, Tuesday school starts and you're right in the middle of a tournament in the evening. And then that Thursday is such a big day with 6 games. It reminds me a little bit of the state tournament with just game after game after game, and then finishing up Friday and Saturday. So again, Alaska Airlines Classic.com to check out the brackets as well as the program and download those things. I did want to mention before we get closer to ending this podcast here that we did have a big weekend of Wolverine hockey here in town against the Ice Dogs, ironically. So Fairbanks came down for 2 games, Friday and Saturday night, and man, it was a wild, wild night. Friday's crowd wasn't super, super big. I think it was right around 3,000. And again, with the roads and cancellation, I was pretty happy to have that kind of crowd there. But that was a wild game. Both goalies were unbelievable, just unbelievable. It ended up in a 1-1 tie at the end of regulation. Then, Brad, I can tell you, I've never seen so many shots for a shootout in my life. We had the 5-on-5, the regular shootout, and then it was tied 1-1 after that. That's how much the goalies were stopping. And then it went, I think it was to 4 or 5 more individual shooters before the Wolverines pulled it out and won in the shootout. And then Saturday night, we had a little over 5,200 people there. And it was 3-1 going into the third. Fairbanks scored with, I want to say it was about 8 minutes left. I want to say, I can't remember exactly. No, excuse me, with about 4 minutes left. And we're going back and around. Fairbanks pulled the goalie. And I can say, Brad, and there were a lot of people that said it, even our announcer, Bob, who's been watching hockey in the Sullivan Arena for 30 plus years, and a bunch of other hockey people that obviously I know from the Wolverines and from Aces days and UAA days. None of them had ever seen what we saw on Saturday night. And that was our goalie, Weigel. He ended up getting the puck behind the red line, behind his goal. Fairbanks was kind of starting to crash down on him, and he just flicked the puck, and he scored. Unassisted goalie goal. It was unbelievable. We cut the clip that night, or I shouldn't say I cut it. One of the Wolverine staff cut it. and sent it out on social media. We tagged ESPN, John Bruchagras from ESPN. I mean, we tagged it all over the place. And Null, if you go to Anchorage Wolverines social media, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and I think on what's the other one, TikTok, it's all on there. It was unbelievable. That was just a crazy game. And now the Wolverines go down to Kenai and play the Kenai River Brown Bears on Friday and Saturday. So Fairbanks is second in the division right now. Anchorage was in 5th place, but then they ended up getting some points. I think the Wolverines jumped into 4th place, if I remember correctly. But a big weekend in hockey, and then another big one coming up against Kenai.
Well, let me throw into that having been to 3 different basketball tournaments and hearing such good things from the Wolverines and the way you guys have built up a crowd there, it just impresses me how good the Anchorage fans have been. They've turned out for the
Absolutely.
Wolverines since this season started. Basketball tournaments have been full, and I think the month of January has just been an incredible sports-related month, and that's good for us.
Absolutely, 100%.
A lot to talk about, and a lot of positive things going on. And in the past, I've sometimes, not that loudly, said that Anchorage fans don't always show, but they're showing. Their teams are winning, and it's good times right now for Alaska sports.
I agree. It's been a busy month, and it's going to continue to be a busy month. This week coming up is one of the busier weeks, especially with high school basketball with the Alaska Airlines Classic. So I'm expecting Anchorage to keep showing up because, to your point, Brad, like you said, they've definitely been showing up. And the Valley too. I know we have a lot of Wolverine fans that are in the Valley as well, and they're driving in and coming to these games. So just really, really blessed to have all these fans and doing things in the Alaska sports scene. So thank you, everybody, very much for listening and subscribing to the podcast and following. And it's just been a huge blessing, and it's a nice, fun activity for Brad, Keaton, and I to do and provide this for you. So any last word, Brad? I remembered.
I'll tell you, our show's a little like officiating. You have to start off perfect and then get better. But I think the last couple of weeks have been some of our best opportunities to present things, along with some of our very best guests. And we're going to continue to do that. It's fun for us. And, Isaiah, I think I've told you, when I go to games and I travel around, some folks, even folks I don't know, they say, "Are you one of the Alaska Sports Talk guys?" So good things are happening, I guess, not only for Alaska sports, but for Alaska Sports Talk.
Yep. Oh, and before we sign it off, just a special shout out to the Seattle Seahawks NFC Championship game. Gonna beat up the Rams. For Keaton Homer, Brad Lowers, I'm Isaiah Vreeman. Thank you for listening, and we will see you this week. If not see you in person, but know that you're watching on the NFHS network at the Alaska Airlines Classic. See ya.